Hey YouTube, Brian LCS. Thanks for stopping by another Comic Book Community 411. And my special guest is Mr. Fred Hall Direct Edition. Fred, welcome to the channel.
Hey man, long time coming, man. We've been missing each other, but we finally got it,
Yeah, no, I appreciate you being here. So, I know your channel's on the verge of 1,000 subs. So, I think the first time I saw you like on camera was on Gary B's channel, and I was like, I was excited to finally see you on camera.
huh? Okay.
I know you've done some other videos since then where you've been on camera, but I reached out to Gary to say, hey, because I wasn't sure your Instagram, where you were on Instagram, and so
Yeah.
I reached out to Gary. Said, hey, Gary, do you have Fred's contact information? I want to get him on the channel, and so excited to sit down with you. So
Hey man, I'm glad to be here. Uh, I just want to tell you guys, I really appreciate you guys. Saying the brotherhood in the community, and also to just humbleness of everybody in the community. I haven't seen too many people that rub each other the wrong way. We're all kind of like family, really. So
yeah, yeah, no, I agree. It's a good group of people, and yeah, for the most part, there's not a lot of drama, and people just supporting everybody,
yeah,
which is good to see. So
which is pretty cool.
yeah.
So.
So before we jump into the questions, why don't you tell everybody a little bit about your channel or yourself, just a brief intro.
Go and cut the VCR, the DVD. I was sending my youngest son Mikey to cut the DVD off. I'm watching Leprechaun and it's like super loud. But I'm Fred Hall Direct Edition. I'm originally from Miami, Florida. Moved up here to Georgia to kind of get away from the fast life. Miami can be a little lot like California, where it's glitz and glamour and models and all that kind of stuff. So I retired back here in Georgia, where I can kind of take it slow and raise a family. I've been collecting comics since I was 10 years old, and I'm a first generation of collectors. My mom kind of turned me on to the nerdy world because she was a huge Trekkie fan, Star Trek fan.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, so I've been collecting since I was 9 years old. Uh, I was a voracious collector, but I missed a couple of key issues when I was growing up. Like New Mutants '98, I totally missed the first appearance of Deadpool, even though I know I could have had multiple copies. That's how long I've been collecting. But when I hit the age of like 25, I went into Toys R Us, and a new side of collecting kind of grasped me, which is action figures. So if you watch my channel, I've always been a movie collector, always. But if you watch my channel, you'll see three main themes, which is movies, action figure collecting, and comic collecting.
Yeah, no, you definitely have a good variety on your channel. I know I have not gone down the rabbit hole of action figures, and just because there's so many that I would probably want to collect and so much money that I would probably spend, so I try to avoid those if I can. So I watch like I enjoy watching your channel because I can see the things that you're collecting that I would like to, but I don't want to spend the money on them. So
Well, the first, I introduced one of my friends, comic book window, back into collecting comics. And when he saw me collecting action figures, the first thing he said was, "Stay focused." And I didn't realize what he was saying until I got into collecting action figures. So I kind of segued into collecting the old school Marvel Legends, the Toy Biz, and Star Wars Black Series. If I collect Transformers, it's only the leader class, which are the bigger ones, the studio class.
okay,
And right now, I got into the GI Joe classified, which I'm absolutely slap nuts crazy over right now. But NECA. I went in the store. I went to Target yesterday, and I realized NECA is just going to take all my money. So I just had to say, "Hey, NECA, I'm just going to collect the figures that I see fit to collect because, yeah, like you said, it's a rabbit hole, man, and you can end up like going into serious debt if you don't focus on if you don't have tunnel vision on what you're going to collect. So,
Right, right. Yeah, because there's so many different good-looking figures that you could just end up, collecting. I mean, the
yeah.
Black Series alone, and then even the Legends figures, the Marvel Legends. I mean,
Oh
there's
yeah.
so many of them. Yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yes. So I try to stay focused, but I'm raising a second generation of collectors, and I got my oldest son. He's more of a Sonic and big truck collector. Then I
Okay.
have a youngest son, Michael, who's basically just like me. He's keeps on popping his head up in the video, but he loves Star Wars and NECA. But I'm teaching him now. If you don't take care of your $50, 40, $50 action figure, you're not gonna get that much from Daddy because
Right,
I don't
right.
have the money
Yeah,
to spend on you to break a leg off. So
yeah, yeah. No, that's tough for a young kid too because they want to I remember having the original line of Star Wars figures when I was a kid, and though I kept them in pretty good shape, but you'd lose something, the cape would rip, you'd lose the blaster, so it was you wanted to play with them, but I also wanted to try to keep them in good shape, but it's tough when you're that young.
oh yeah, and then too, if you're a first generation collector, like I really didn't have anybody to guide me, so a lot of my comic books I did have that were very valuable back in the day. I read them, put staples in them to keep them together, and it's like I told my mom, she was like, "You still have the original collection?" I'm like, I have like I had to replace them because I was so hard on them when I was younger,
Right.
and I didn't realize the value of. I was more of a collector to read, and now I'm more of a collector to preserve. So if you're raised a first generation collector, you're kind of a little hard on your comics. So I re bought most of the comics I had when I was younger, and a lot of the action figures I had when I was younger. They went past my budget. I can't recollect those, but I wish I had the original 1989 Ninja Turtle line. I would really, you know, um, here's hope to one day I hit the lotteries where I can rebuy
I can get them back, right? Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, that's the good thing. I mean, now that more people are aware of collecting and preserving some of those older toys and comics, that you know you can certainly, if you have enough money, or you can certainly pick them up at some point. But
them. Oh yeah,
they do get a little bit. They
yeah.
are expensive. Let's put it that way, right?
Well, the good thing was when we had the recession under President George Bush the Jr. Uh, I went to my comic book dojo, which is Dave's Comics, and I went in the 50 cent bin, and I found some really, really, really valuable books for cheap. And I didn't realize at the time that I don't consider myself smart. I consider myself just the average person. But I went in the comic book shop, and at that time, a lot of the key issues were 50 cents. Like I bought the second appearance of Deadpool for 50 cents, like the first appearance of Apocalypse for like $5. Like so that was the time to collect. I don't hope that we have another recession, but
Right.
at that time, comics wasn't they weren't they were second hand, and then you didn't have the Marvel movies at that time.
Right. Right.
The
Yeah.
Marvel
Before the big.
movies,
Yeah.
oh my god, the movies have really boosted up some of the prices because I have a Kane the Conqueror book, and I'm like, dude, you guys calling this a spec book? I bought this for like 25 cents, but it's just funny to see now how the books are kind of getting out of reach. I remember the first appearance of Wolverine, whatever that Hulk is, 131, 132, whatever it is. But I remember seeing that on the wall for like maybe 300 at the most. Now it's like a
Yeah.
three
It's
thousand
thousands, right?
book.
Yeah.
So I mean, if I could go back in time, that's why I always, I hate watching Back to the Future because I'm like, if I ever got a chance to go back in the future, man, I would definitely bring back five New Mutants '98, Batman animated series, what the first appearance of Harley Quinn.
Oh, right. Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
my god, like that book, oh my god, I just really hate that I didn't know what I knew now. But
Right.
you
Yeah,
know,
yeah. If you knew, if you could go back in the past with what we know now, yeah,
yes,
we'd be picking up all the right stuff.
yes, we would. So we'll all be millionaires, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So
So my first question is always, and you kind of answered it a little bit. How did you get into collecting, comic book collecting? And you mentioned your mom kind of introduced you, but tell me a little bit more about when you first got into collecting.
well, I was always a huge superhero fan. Like I remember the Batman, was it '76 or something like that? Is it Batman 18? Well, I remember Batman back in the day, Adam West Batman. I grew up
Yeah,
on,
yeah. Oh, the '60s. Yeah,
yeah,
'66. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
'66, and I definitely remember a lot of TV shows back in the day. And I used to be inspired by, especially Christopher Reeves, Superman.
Superman. Yeah.
I remember putting the towel around my neck and jumping off the roof.
Oh, jeez.
We were bad boys in Miami, but Miami is only one story roof, so it wasn't that bad. But what really I vividly remember getting into comics was I was at a skating rink in Miami. It's called Hot Wheels, and in between sessions, because they put you out and then they do another session where you pay to get back in. I went around the corner and I saw this comic shop. I'd never forget. I saw the Marvel comic cards,
Oh,
and I
okay.
bought probably like 2 packs of them. And when I bought 2 packs of them, I was like, wow, there's more than Spider Man and the Hulk. There's like some really cool characters in there. And so I bought a couple of comic cards, and then that just started the obsession. I went from comic cards to buying a Marvel Presents with Wolverine on the front. First time I saw Wolverine, it was always Batman. But after I saw Wolverine, it was Wolverine, all about Wolverine. So I bought those comic cards, and then I bought a couple comic books in class, and then it was over. I mean, it was just over. My mom couldn't understand, but she tolerated it. But now that it's cool, she's like, "Yeah, I'm the one who raised you that way." It's like,
You're taking credit for it now, right?
yeah, they're just those 1991 comic book cards started an obsession when I was 10 to 9 years old. I just became a voracious comic book collector. I even remember me and my mom and my dad, my whole family, kind of sitting around the television after Hurricane Andrew, and we found out that Doomsday killed Superman. And as a family, we collectively mourned for Superman because
Oh,
we
geez.
thought he
Yeah.
wasn't coming back. But yeah, that's what started. It started with Marvel comic cards, the first series, which is 1991.
Okay. And now, have you ever taken a break, or have you collected pretty much, since you were a kid to now?
Well, when it comes to collecting, I kind of take the apocalypse kind of theory, where apocalypse will take a rest, and then he'll come back or whatever. And that's what I do as far as comics. Right now I'm a voracious figure collector.
Yeah.
But what I did with my comic books was I said, okay, it's time to stop the run fillers and the ones that's not going to appreciate their value. And if I do buy a comic book, it's going to be a slab comic or it's going to be a key issue because I'm kind of getting older and I'm becoming more of a, instead of just a collector and a reader. Well, I do still buy the graphic novels to keep up with the X-Men and Ninja Turtles.
Mm, okay.
But if I do buy comic books, I more buy them for the monetary value. So you'll see me buy more slabs, which I plan on buying the next month. I plan on going after a couple of slabs because my comic book collection is stupid. Like it takes up half of the garage.
Oh,
So,
wow.
so I want to, instead of I want to simplify it, by just buying key issues from now on.
Okay, some bigger books. Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
that makes sense. Yeah, yeah. So how did you start your so you've been collecting and figures, toys and comics, but then when did you make the leap to YouTube and started doing videos?
Well, YouTube, I started off watching channels like Shartimus Prime. I don't know if you guys know him. He's a huge, like,
No, I don't think I do.
Shartimus Prime is huge in the Marvel Legends collecting. Like, I mean, his video. I mean, Shartimus Prime goes back in the day. He used to collect, but nowadays they send it to him for free. He's huge. And I started off watching guys like Comics Explained,
Hmm.
Rob from Comics Explained. He's almost like a professor. So a lot of times when I do my videos and I do, explanations on the teams, I'm not gonna lie, I'm totally ripping off of Rob Explains. Even my
It's good.
voice
It's good information. Yeah.
even my voice tone is like I just totally ripped from my Rob Explains, because he's almost like a professor and a big brother, and he's kind of one of the channels that you go to if you want to get into reading this comic or that comic. He actually will explain it to you, and he does it in such a professor voice, and his voice is so smooth. I mean, I just love his channel. But it was Shartimus Prime with the action figures, and it was Rob Explains with the comic books. But a lot of times when I was watching YouTube, I was like, this is vain and this is not the right way to think. But I was like, man, I got more action figures than that guy. Oh, I could do a better video than that guy. And so that's what sucked me into it. But like I said on the video that I did, How to Grow Your Channel, you could feel that way. But if you're not willing to put in the 4 hours a day on YouTube, you're not going to be big, because YouTube basically they reward people that put in the time, do the contests, keep a straight schedule, and people that really reach out to other people and respond to their viewers. And for a while or two, for like 2 3 years, I would just release a 20-minute video and kind of just let it sit there. But I'm learned. I've been learned how to work YouTube. It's just I switched to day shift. Now I have more time to uh, put towards my craft in YouTube.
Okay. Yeah, no, I've certainly seen consistency being a key, producing videos regularly and like you said, being involved with other channels, commenting and yeah, I think all of those things can really help your channel, grow. So,
Yeah, grow. Yeah,
yeah.
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 So
All right. Um Switching gears a little bit, if you had creative control over a character or a movie, um, that you could do something you're on your own with it, what character would you tackle, and what would you do?
I'll probably I'll probably start with the X-Men franchise, because the X-Men to me wasn't really a good franchise until you hit about maybe X-Men First Class. I remember sitting in the theater before my ex-wife. At the time, I was with a girlfriend, and we were watching the first X-Men, and she kept asking me question after question after question. And even it got to the point where the people in front of me and the people in the back of me were like listening to me. But I didn't like the fact that they didn't have Sabretooth know Wolverine, or Wolverine didn't know Sabretooth. I think that they cast Holly Berry just because she was Holly Berry.
Hmm.
There's a lot of. I just don't think that Bryan Singer is a good comic book movie director. I don't like his style. I've never, the X-Men 2 was pretty good when they let Wolverine go crazy, but that was the only part. It's just a lot of jacked up stuff that they did in the X-Men. I feel like they should have uh, absolutely kept to the comic books. I mean, it's
Right,
already written for you. All you got to do is put it on television.
right,
So,
right.
so if it was anything that I could have done anything with, it would definitely be the X-Men. And definitely I would go in and shape up the DC universe. I would just turn over the DC universe to whomever wrote Guardians of the Galaxy, Deadpool 2, Deadpool 1, because the whole DC universe, I'm not going to lie, I don't like any movie from the DC universe. I just like Christopher Nolan's Batmans.
Oh yeah,
I
yeah, there were.
definitely love those, but after that, the Justice League, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. It was a little bit of a mess. Yes, definitely. What did you think of Hugh Jackman as Wolverine? You know, you said Wolverine's one of your favorite characters.
I was wrong. I was wrong. I can admit it. Because when I first saw him, I was like, who's this skinny dude? No. Uh, but when I saw X2, and I saw the dedication, and then when I saw Wolverine Origins, I was like, dude, this, oh my God. Hugh Jackman grew on me. Like, I'm not going to lie. At first, I was like, maybe we can get the wrestler Chris Benoit, the Rabbit Wolverine, to play Wolverine because he's short and he's
Right, right.
stocky and he looks like Wolverine. But you know what happened with Chris Benoit. Um, but Hugh Jackman grew on me, and right now I'm a Wolverine snob, and I don't see anybody else being Wolverine. I just don't see anybody else. Like I thought maybe a younger Jack Nicholson could have played a Wolverine, but Hugh
Mm,
Jackman, he changed my opinion very quickly on
mm.
him. So
Yeah, no, I thought he did a really good job. I mean, I think it's going to be tough for them to replace him, but I think they're going to when they reintroduce X Men in the MCU. I
yes,
think casting is going to be really important because if they want to build more of try to rebuild the franchise, they're going to have good actors in place. So
yes, yes. You know, like I said, I have all the faith in Disney, Marvel's MCU. Like oh my God, since Iron Man, they've knocked it out the park. Like I haven't had any complaints. Well, I got complaints with Iron Man 2 and Thor: The Dark World. Well,
yeah, yeah, there's been some misses, but overall, yeah, I just actually saw Ant Man,
yeah.
and enjoyed it. I thought I was Kang is really good, the actor,
Oh yeah,
and the portrayal of Kang is really good. So
yeah.
I liked it. I thought it was good.
Oh, you talking about the quantum?
Quantum,
Quantum,
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Quantum was solid. Something like that.
Quantum Mania,
Quantum Mania. Yeah,
Quantum Mania, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So. All right. Next question for you is: what's one thing that you don't like or dislike in collecting or within the community? Something that's a negative for you.
Well, I'm pretty much a positive guy, like always. I love everybody in the community, even if you don't respond back to me, and even if you do this and do that. What I had to do was I had to go into my faith because I'm growing in faith. A lot of people don't know that I actually have a street ministry, which I don't really say a lot on the channel.
Oh,
I
all right.
feed the homeless a lot. Um, but one thing I wanted people to do in this last video, if you didn't realize, is I wanted them to run their own race. Because when you get jealous of another channel or you think that person doesn't deserve it, you don't know the backstory on that person and you don't know what that person has done to get to where they're at. And at the same time, too, when you focus on other people, that takes the focus off of your craft. So I don't see a lot of negativity in the community, but I do see a lot of these people that have maybe one or two subscribers that will comment on your video to trying to throw you off game. I don't know if you've had that, but I've had a guy do that recently, like on my How to Grow Your Channel. He was like, "How to grow your channel? You only have 80 views in 11 hours," and I was like, "Dude, what does that mean?"
Yeah,
I thought
yeah.
about it, and I was like, "You know what? Block."
Right.
Because the social media world nowadays have a lot of guys, and I'm just gonna go straight in. A lot of guys that have no balls, they act like they have balls because you can't get a hold to them. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Right. Yeah.
So you can't.
Internet tough guys, right?
Oh
Yeah.
my God, there's so many of them. So you can't let them distract you. You have to rise above that because it's just a distraction. But we're all humans and we can get distracted by that. And another thing we can get distracted by is we get distracted by the easiness of other people, that it comes easy to them. man, you have to. The biggest advice I have for anybody that's on, in this community that is striving to do better and striving to do, because I have a lot of people say, oh, it's not about the subs and I'm not worried about subs, and that's fine, but I know at the end of the day you do measure yourself against other people,
Oh,
but
sure.
you really have to run your own race, because if you don't run your own race you end up looking at the other person running next to you, and that hinders you from making it to the finish line.
Yeah, no, I agree. I really enjoyed. I mentioned it to you before we started recording that I really enjoyed that recent video, and that was the one thing that stuck with me, saying run your own race, because I think people do, they have a tend to compare themselves to other channels and other people, and like you said, if you stay focused on what you're doing and not worried about other things, I think you'll find that success. You got to stay focused on what you're doing, and so yeah, I thought I really enjoyed that video, and I actually recommended it. I said to a couple of people, say, "Hey, you got to go check out this video," because I think when people start their channels, they're like you said, some people say, "Oh, the subs don't matter," but I think we're all a little bit competitive by nature,
Yeah, we are.
and we all want to do well. So it's hard not to fall into that trap of, oh, that person's got more subs than me, and
Yeah,
so but if you stay focused, I think you can stay above it, and
yeah,
then hopefully find your success. So
yeah, yeah.
uh,
Find your niche,
yeah.
because
Huh.
if you look at several channels, you know they all offer different stuff. So and I know my channel, you never know where I'm gonna come from. I might hit you with a how to cook this, or saying, or my feelings at the time, or I might hit you with the normal action figures and comic books. You just never know.
Right,
Uh,
right.
but I feel like as an overall entertainment channel, you have to be out of the box, and that's another question. That's another point I was trying to push, was that if you do your regular comic book calls, you'll get a loyal crowd, but sometimes you have to delve into cooking, and sometimes you have to dwell into your feelings. Like, people feel that, see a different side of you, or sometimes you have to, just even if you take a break from scheduling, go and start hollering at some people that collect Funko Pops, or people that collect, sports cards. We're all collectors. You know what I'm
Right,
saying? We
right.
just collect different stuff. So
Yeah, no, and it there's die cast, right? Like I said,
yeah.
cards,
Oh yeah.
toys, comics. I mean, there's so many different aspects. But like you said, we're all collectors at heart, and no matter what we're collecting, we have that common interest of
Hmm.
being collectors. So
Hmm.
all right, so you made it through the four questions that I always ask everybody, and now we're going to hit two random. And my what we do is I come up with a random, and then I have a list. But my random question for you is about the food in your videos. So it's one of my favorite things to watch at the beginning of your video, seeing what you're eating, what you're cooking. So how did that start? Like, how did you say, all right, I want to start putting my lunch and my dinner in my videos?
Uh, the refuel, I don't know where it came from. Like, I was just like, you know what? It's a lot of people that do comics, and they just do straight hardcore comics, and they just go straight at it. I say, you know what? I'm more of a food critic too. I would love to have a food critic channel. So that's where it really came from, is my love for food and my love for cooking. And I'm not gonna lie, comic book Wendell, who is a good friend. Um, when he comes over my house, it's just like, cook for me. I'm like, dude, you know what I'm saying? Like, for real. But it just comes from my love of food. And when I was younger, I was a pretty chunky little boy. And yeah, the refuel just comes from the love of food. If you really want to pinpoint anything, Anthony Bourdain, do you know who he is?
Oh yeah, oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, Anthony Bourdain, rest in peace, one of
Oh
my
yeah, oh yeah.
heroes. But I would always watch No Reservations, and I used to be like, man, I want to do something like that. in life. That's one of my dreams, to actually be a chef and to actually, go around and, just experience different cultures and different foods. So that's one of the main reasons why you have the, I had to stop and refuel at the beginning of my videos. I'll probably put it all on Anthony Bourdain because that's my hero.
Okay. Yeah, like I said, it's always a highlight when I watch your videos to see, what you're cooking, what you're eating. And sometimes it's like the combination of stuff too. I'm like, wow, I wouldn't think I'd put those two things together, but it
Oh yeah,
actually looks good.
yeah.
So,
We have a cheese allergy in the house, which is my youngest, and you have a oldest son. Well, my older son. The two younger ones. They're very funny as far as their eating. Like Fred is always has to have the pasta with something, and Michael always has to. I have to freak it where it's like, okay, if we have spaghetti, we can't have melted cheese on the top. So
mm,
I usually cook 2 pots of pasta, and it trips my Italian friends out because they're like, "Dude, you're black, but you cook like my mom." And I'm like, "Yeah, I cook like an old Italian woman." It's like, even my brothers and sisters, if they come over my house, they're like, "I know I'm going to eat because Fred just always has food,
he's cooking. Yeah.
for his kids." So it's like everybody sits down and it's like they eat, and it's like everybody has a good time. So
Ah, that's great. Yeah, no, that's one of our favorite meals. Like, and we have a couple. I have a gluten allergy. My son has a peanut allergy, so we have to
oh
be careful with with
yeah,
stuff. But pasta sauce, and like meat sauce, or even just a simple meatball is
oh
like
yeah,
one of the favorite meals because
oh yeah,
it's pretty simple to cook, but it's just like everybody in our family loves it. So
oh yeah.
yeah.
My adopted uncle, say he has he has a gluten problem too. So, I got used to eating hamburgers without the buns, and
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Do
so
lettuce wrap or something. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So, and then Michael, my youngest, not only does he have a cheese allergy, he has a huge peanut or nut allergy. He can't eat anything.
Right. Right. Yeah. That's my son too. We carry an EpiPen. We
Oh
got to.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
definitely. Benadryl, definitely.
Yeah. 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 So all right. Yeah. No. Like I said, I was always interested. It's always fun to see what Fred's cooking. So
Hmm. I
all
put
right.
that.
So
I used to put that. Sometimes I'll freak people out because, brother Brian, you'll be surprised how people get mad at me. They'll be like, "Where's the food at?" I'm like, "Dude, like every video has to have food in it." Like for real.
well,
So
yeah. I mean, it's kind of like your formula, right?
yeah,
I look for the food, and then I look for the Darth
fake Darth,
Maul,
fake Darth Maul.
and you're always promoting your other videos too. So
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
like
yeah,
there's a little bit of a format there that
oh yeah, yeah,
people get used to. So
yeah, 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 yeah.
all right, the last question is going to be a totally random question. So I have 50 questions. So
Okay,
just give me a number, your favorite number or a number 1 through 50, and wherever we land.
let's do 23 for Michael Jordan.
23. All right, this is a little interesting one. What do you do to overcome a personal setback?
Okay, so personal setbacks, right? Like I said, I was getting more into um, since I split up with my kid's mom. I've been studying and doing what I need to do. So if you have a setback, right, you have to accept it and you have to use the rule that I've learned from my father. And the rule I learned from my father is you can cry, but try not to cry until you win the war. And what he meant by that is when you're in the foxhole and you're going through it or whatever, get through it first. And then you can break down and mourn because you've won. So I've had a couple set. That's a good question because Lord, I've had some setbacks in the past years, and you guys can't tell because I've been constantly pumping out the videos or whatever. And my personal, not everybody's like me. Not everybody's like me. But my thing is not to fake it, but at the same time too, if you watch the animal kingdom and you watch the hyenas and you watch the lions and you watch the giraffes, they don't show any weakness, because if you show any weakness, you're prone to get picked on and you're prone to get eaten and taken out.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah.
And so, what I do with my setbacks is I learn from it, and I thank God for taking me through it. And I put my faith in God and tell Him I trust Him that I wasn't able to do it. And now I put my hands in your hands and you do it for me, because I obviously tried to do it myself. And it's kind of like raising kids. When you tell your kids knowledge and they still do otherwise, you're like, dude, I've been on this earth for 40 years. You're only, I've been on this earth twice your age.
Right.
You're going to learn the hard way. You have some kids that listen to you, and you have the other kid that has to learn the hard way.
Right. Right.
And so that's why how I look at setbacks. I look at setbacks like I've tried it myself, and now that I haven't done what I need to do and I failed in that I put my hands in a higher power, and you show me how to get out of this hole. Uh, Mourning is only for a season. If you start, I'm gonna segue into something that you probably didn't expect, but a lot of people are suicidal because they have tried it their way, and they don't trust in they don't trust in a higher power to help them out. You know what I'm saying? And yes, you're going to feel bad about not performing, but what you need to realize is it's a lesson, and you have to learn from it, and you have to ask for help. You know, we're
Yeah.
not that
Yeah.
nice where we can do it all by ourselves. So that's how I look at setbacks.
All right. That's a great answer. Yeah, we've been talking a little bit about it in the community, and I did a live stream this past week, and we were talking a little bit about, like, you just never know what somebody's going through, right? They may
You know,
be, happy and smiling on camera, but they may have some personal stuff going on
oh
in
yeah,
in their
oh yeah,
lives, and so, and two, we need to talk about those things a little bit more frequently, so that people aren't afraid to talk about it when, like you said,
yeah,
they need help,
oh yeah,
and that it's okay to reach out to somebody if you need to talk, or
yeah.
so. And I think the community overall is pretty supportive. So I've mentioned it, saying, hey, if anybody ever needs to talk, send me a message on Instagram or whatever, and I give you my phone number, or whatever it is. I think there's a lot of supportive people within the community that would
That's
be willing to just listen,
yeah,
and just maybe that's what you need. So I
yeah.
appreciate that answer. That was great.
Oh yeah, we've all been through it, man. I mean, me personally, like if Blucker's videos and Big Brother Rig and Leonard 17K Hudson, they knew me when I was happily married, and I went through a not 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 a divorce, but I went through a hell of a separation, and but nobody could tell because I put on that I don't put on a mask. I'm just a naturally happy person, so it's really hard to knock me off my game. But I was going through it, man, and it was like a struggle to do some videos. It was like,
Right,
man,
right.
I need to do a video this week, so pump it out, put it up, and just go back and lay down. And life is just not easy. It's very. It seems like life is harder to live now that people expect more of you. Prices have went up. It's just a lot of. I've noticed when I watch Facebook videos, I don't watch them no more because they promote a lot of prejudice and you know, black against white, police against blacks, and all this kind of stuff.
Right, right.
And it's like, dude, if you really was a fan of X Men and stuff like that, you would realize that X Men was basically Martin Luther King is Professor X, and Malcolm X is Magneto, and Marvel has always been progressive, and it's about inclusion. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And we have to realize that it's not really against different skin tone. It's against the have and the have-nots. But they won't tell you that because they're scared that we'll get together and come and knock the people that's on the higher
Right.
pay rate off their platform. So it's just a lot going on. It's a lot going on nowadays. Uh,
Yeah, it's one of the reasons why I don't watch the news very often.
oh my God, the
Try to
news.
try to stay positive and not feed into the the craziness sometimes with the things that are being reported and that. So yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, no,
and if you notice, the theme of mine on my channel is to always call everybody brothers and sisters because we're all brothers and sisters. You know what I'm saying? Regardless of how you look at me, I look at you as my brother. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
we're
Big
in it
brother,
together,
little
right?
brother,
Yeah,
whatever. You
yeah.
know. So
Yeah, no, that's good. That's a great message. I appreciate you. And like I said, I think the community's been talking a little bit about it. I've seen some other channels bring it up about just mental health and being able to listen and help other people if they need to vent or talk. And it's important, right? Because like you said, there's a lot of ups and downs in everyday life. Just stuff that goes on,
mhm.
costs, things like that. So you never know what somebody's dealing with or struggling with in their personal life. So
Yeah, because
it's
we
good.
always wear masks, metaphorically speaking, like they said on the movie The Mask. Yeah.
All right. Well, that was it. Those were the six questions. You made it through. Anything else that you want to mention about yourself or your channel before we wrap up?
Uh, well, I just want to tell everybody, I try to radiate love throughout the community, and if you don't notice that in my videos, and well, I'm sure you probably noticed that. The biggest thing I wanted to, let everybody know is that, I'm saying, after the rain stops, the sun does come out. It's like I said, it's a season for mourning, and it's also a season for celebration. And I'm just excited about the next chapter of life, and I'm really excited about just the comic book community, man. We're very supportive, and it's like crazy because I've had my own family. I never thought I would find people that was so cool within the community. Like I get just random packages from people, and I'm like, dude, you didn't have to do that, but it's just awesome, and it's awesome because if you can attest to this, when I was 10 and I had to hide my comic book fandom
Right.
because it
Yeah.
wasn't
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
wasn't cool. You can get beat up for being a comic book nerd, but it's like now that the movies are coming out, it's like we're the guys to go to ask questions, and we're not perceived as weird and kind of like a smelly dude. We're kind of considered, we're kind of considered the gatekeepers and the cool guys. So the younger generation, you have no idea what we put up for you to be where you're at now. You guys are collecting comics and doing all this kind of stuff and posting on Instagram. You don't understand like how we used to get beat up, you know what I'm saying, and how we used to get crapped on about being comic book fans. Now it's
Yeah.
cool, but back in the days it wasn't.
Yeah. That's
That's
true.
one
That's
of
true.
the things I see, and that's one of the things I love to needle the young people about.
Yeah, it's good to get keep the young generation involved with it. Keep it going. But yeah, I had mentioned recently I took some time off from work because I was going to a Comic Con, and
Okay,
somebody asked me at work, like a coworker, like, "Oh, what are you doing on your time off?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm going to Comic Con," and they were like, they looked at me, they're like, "You collect comic books?" It was still like, I'm like, "Yeah, I collect comic books," So
but yeah, my son, them they love to tell their friends come down to my garage in the dungeon. They're like, look at this stuff, and the kids are like, oh my god, it's so cool. But it's crazy because you see the older guys. They're like, let's watch Super Bowl. I'm like, okay, let's watch in the dungeon. They're like, dude, what's up with all these toys? I'm like, sorry, I didn't realize that you guys didn't like it.
right,
So,
yeah. All
yeah,
right. Well, we have in the description is Fred's links to his channel. I'm going to link your video as well. The your recent video that you did, kind of how to grow your channel and
yes, sir.
telling everybody about running their own race was, like I said, I really enjoyed that video. So I think people that are starting out or trying to figure out a direction on their channel, that definitely watch Fred's video on that. I think it would be helpful. So I'll
Appreciate it.
leave
I'm
that.
very humble about it. Thank you.
Yeah, no, and it was, and you mentioned it too. You were, shouting people out in it, calling every, brother Brian and brother Slim, and so you can feel, feel the love in the video and the support for the community. So it was definitely a video that more people gotta check out. So
Appreciate it.
yeah. But Fred, thanks so much for coming on and answering all my questions. And let's help Fred hit. Like I said, we're not chasing subs, but he is getting close to the milestone. It would be nice for him to hit that 1K.
Yes.
Just celebrate that big milestone. So let's. If you're not familiar, please go check him out, sub him up. I don't think you will be disappointed. And worst case, you can just go see what he's having for dinner in his videos. So
Be hungry like everybody
yeah,
else.
right. So,
So,
all right, Fred. Thanks again.
all right.
Thanks
Thank you, Brother
everybody.
Brian. I appreciate everything, man. And everybody, just focus on the ones that show you love, and the ones that don't show you love, keep on rolling. So,
Good advice. Thanks again.
okay.
Take
Peace.
care.